get me some alligator shoes.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Alligator Shoes. I'm your host, Michael Hackett. You know, we talk about everything positive going on in Baton Rouge, and today I have a very special guest. It's all about music today and the arts and how important that is to our city. Today I have my good friend Jay Hover. He's going to tell you all about the music and what's going on in Baton Rouge and what hall he is involved with and how, honestly, we can get involved and help him. So Jay, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, buddy.
Tell me, before we get started, let's learn a little bit about Jay and where you're from. I know you're not originally from here. What brought you here, and how did we get to this point of you changing the landscape of music in Baton Rouge?
We're trying, trust me. Man, I actually was born in Billings, Montana, back in 1986.
Yes.
Was at a young age when I moved down to Houston, Texas with my family. Grew up there, of course. Had an older brother that came to LSU, kind of followed in his footsteps.
Yep.
That was back in 2004. Went back to Houston after a good time in college.
Yeah.
And married a Baton Rouge girl, and here we are.
On this show, we hear that story a lot, but especially when people aren't from here, they find their spouse, and usually it's the female that brings the guy back to Baton Rouge.
Yep. Yeah. Storybook story for me as well. Previous job, I was traveling across the country quite a bit. We had our first child, and wife said, "I'm moving home." So
you didn't have
here we
a choice.
Are. Yeah.
What were you? Were you in? I mean, what were you doing back then?
Well, as I mentioned, I made it about 3.5 years at LSU. I left with about a year's worth of credit.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you finish early?
No, shit. No way. So I got my chain yanked back to Houston.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I started working for a chemical company. That was Champion Technologies.
Okay.
So got hired on as an intern, really, and they were gracious enough to help me through school. It took me 10 long years to finally get my marketing degree.
Perfect.
But got that from the University of Houston downtown campus. But yeah, I spent 10 years in oilfield chemicals, both upstream and downstream. As I mentioned, prior to moving back here, I was probably traveling 3 weeks out of the month in and out of refineries across the country. My wife has, of course, being from here, family and support, said we're moving back.
Yeah.
Actually bought our house in Capitol Heights before I even looked at it or stepped foot in.
That's a good spot.
It's a great spot.
That's a good risk to take,
Yeah.
Capitol Heights.
Yeah, so here we are.
When you moved back, what were you doing when you moved back to Baton Rouge?
At the time, we'd gone through a couple mergers and acquisitions. I was still working, turned into Athlon Solutions, primarily downstream chemicals. I was doing a lot of work in the Golden Triangle. I was traveling down to Corpus Christi, Texas, kind of spending a couple weeks on, a couple weeks off type deal. It's still tough and traveling a lot. But shortly thereafter, one of the major oil companies stepped in to acquire Athlon. Kind of saw the writing on the wall, and took a leap of faith and got into music, and here we are.
All right. Well, that's what we're here to talk about. After that, so when you and I have talked a lot about music, and I know you're a big music fan, as am I. When did this idea come to you that, like, I'm going to make this my career in Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
Gosh, it really wasn't a thought or a choice. I just I had no real experience promoting and booking shows. I just kind of dove head first and learned along the way. Of course, made some mistakes. But I approached Mr. Les out of Beauval Park, close family friend of my wife's growing up and all that stuff. And, he had this beautiful space, a beautiful stage. I had a startup CBD company, of all things. I was getting off the ground at the same time as well, while we were building out the brand and, onboarding products and stuff like that. I had a little bit of downtime and said, "Hey, Les, let's do some music," And the way I kind of pitched it to him, I was like, "Look, here's what it's going to take." This was back in 2018. Let me take over your social media stuff. Let's get the name out there, get a brand put together. I was like, we'll probably hemorrhage a little bit to start, but let's do it. And so we went full on. 2018, started rolling shows through. 2019, we were building. 2020 came around, COVID hit,
Yep.
shut down for a month.
Yep.
Saw a little opportunity, and we opened the doors.
Well, that's when I really got to know you, because I started going to Boulevard Park probably in 2018.
Yeah.
Fell in love with it, going every chance I could get to go hear music. And like a lot of these bands I'd never heard of, but every time I went, it was just an event, and it was fun. It was unique to Baton Rouge. I hate it when people say it didn't feel like Baton Rouge, because that's a slap in our face when people say this doesn't feel like Baton Rouge. It's so cool, and I hate saying that.
Yeah.
But that was really unique. So I'll use the word unique to Baton Rouge, and it took off like wildfire. And I remember following Boulevard Park on Instagram, and then seeing you and your signature choo-choo, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. And then seeing the big bands come through, and I would take my kids on Sundays and listen to gospel music or whatever.
Soulful
my wife
Sundays,
and I,
yeah.
Soulful Sundays, and we'd bring an ice chest of beer and a lawn chair and just have a ball.
Yeah.
Let's kind of dive into Boulevard before we move too far on. I mean, I know it happened organically, but there's some thought that went into it. How did you get it going?
Gosh, really just a deep passion for live music. Grew up in an environment where music was very important. I upfront and honestly, I don't play a lick of any instrument. But I just
I've tried.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. But I just kind of fell in love with what we were doing over there. As we mentioned, 2020, of course, COVID. It was actually the Friday night before the St. Patty's Day parade when everything shut down.
That's right.
At the time, we had rolled what we called a South by St. Patty's, where we had touring artists on their way to South by Southwest, stopping in, putting a little festival on. It was actually this rocker, Daniel Romano. He's still out there doing great things, but we had him on the bill, and he called and said, look, he's from Canada. He goes, if I don't get back to Canada, they're going to shut down the border, and my ass is going to be stuck. I said, dude, go for it. So, at that point, we shut down for about a month. As I said, we kind of saw an opportunity, an outdoor space. People could distance and do all that crap, So we opened the doors, and we started rolling. I mean, 4 or 5 shows a week at the time, really just to support local musicians who, more than most, their job went out the window, right? Couldn't find a gig. So, really just trying to support the local acts, New Orleans, of course. But it's just, it was very and quickly apparent to me that there's just this wealth of musical talent here in Baton Rouge. You had all these different bands and these members swapping in and out, playing different instruments, and it blew my mind. Yeah, honestly.
I mean, it's hidden. You got to go look for it here.
It's crazy.
It's like that Grateful Dead song. Don't tell me this town ain't got no heart. You just got to poke around. Well, you got to poke around here.
Yeah,
and that's what you've done. You've brought it to the forefront. What about? So COVID happens. You really focused on local stuff, social distancing and all that kind of stuff. COVID's over, and then what? Because y'all pivoted into some bigger acts. When did that happen?
Well, honestly, we were fortunate enough to be able to work with all the other great venues in town, the indoor venues that they couldn't operate. So they were bringing class acts in. It was actually a George Porter Jr. album release show, I want to say November of 2020, when the fire marshals showed up and shut us down.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so just a unfortunate circumstance at the time, for all the great that we thought we were doing. Neighboring business had some issues with the parking while we were bringing people to their establishment, that kind of good stuff. Yeah. And that's all she wrote, kind of by the time we came back through a rezoning effort, kind of lost some wind out of our sales. All the other venues were kind of opening up. Yeah. It was a struggle to come back, honestly. But
oh, really? So after COVID, y'all, and you kind of pivoted as well. So what was next for you after that? You kind of made a name for yourself at Boulevard Park. Now what is Jay doing?
Well, I think we should back up just a little bit. Really had an incident leaving the park one day. This was October 16th, 2020. Again, we were working with one of the great venues in town. They brought an artist, blues artist out of Georgia. His name's John Tavius Willis. I'll never forget. Well, I was leaving the venue that night. Fortunate for me, I didn't have to work it, so I was, got to sit back and relax and hang. But I'd hailed an Uber and was on the phone with my wife leaving the venue. I opened the car door to one Uber and I said, "Hey, is this for Jay?" I was like, "No," and they kind of pointed into another vehicle. Well, me being me, I hopped into the front seat of this vehicle, not confirming it was my ride. Within about 5 seconds, I was knocked out cold. Within about 5 minutes, I was taken around the corner to the little Catholic Life Center over there off Capitol Heights. Continued to get beaten. Broken orbital bone in my face, reconstructive face surgery. But only thing I remember at the time was, where's the money? Where's the money? We actually have footage from a restaurant in the area of me getting into this vehicle. Unfortunately, the cops, through their investigation, couldn't pin my assault on this guy. My God. At the time, we thought it was almost a setup. I thought that somebody might have thought that I was leaving the venue with a cash bag from the door. Of course, not knowing that was not my show. Also, that I would never jump in a bunches. So, bloodied and battered. We actually had a show the next weekend, and I made it a point to be back out there, sunglasses and all, because I wanted, one, if this asshole was out there, that I wanted to show that act of violence was not going to stop me from doing what I do. Two, I wanted to be back at a place of comfort and music and happiness.
I had no idea, man.
So that kind of solidified my want and passion to continue doing
So that
this.
incident really changed your perspective or gave you more oomph, drive to do it.
Yeah, my second daughter was 4 months old at the time. Fortunate, there was a Good Samaritan. His dogs were going crazy in the area, and he was, got his dogs on a leash, walked over, found me bruised and bloodied and battered, and I was, head rattled. I was stupid enough to pick up the phone and FaceTime my wife.
Oh gosh.
So, first thing she saw is, I was like, I got fucked up, and that was my exact words. So she scrambles, gets the kids in the car, calls her mom, who lives in the neighborhood, has her meet us at the parking lot, swaps kids into her car. My wife takes me to the hospital, and that was just a really a wake up moment for me. Just in the flash of no time at all. It's just scary as shit, as you can imagine.
What made you want to keep on going after that?
Man, I just, I don't know, call it stupidity or sacrifice, but in my mind, crazy mind, I was like, look, that, that's a sign for me that I'm not going to stop pursuing what I'm pursuing. Yeah. I'm going to keep.
And you love it so much.
I love it. Yeah. And, through that trauma, I started putting together the workings of what is now my nonprofit, Be Positive. Over the course of a year or two, I wrote all my bylaws. I submitted all the necessary documentation to the IRS without knowing what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. I get my IRS 501c3 determination. And I kind of sat on it for quite some time, not knowing, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. Now we're very youth focused. But I just kind of sat on it, and a good friend, musician in town, David St. Romain, he said, "Man, why don't you go take some music to the old folks' homes?" I said, "Shit, that's a great idea," and ended up connecting with the home out in Gonzales and went and talked to their events planner and marketing person, and they said, "Yeah, let's do it," So I had Chris LeBlanc, David St. Romain, all these guys volunteer their time at these old folks homes just, bring tears to your eyes to see these people.
So tell me, what is the mission of Be Positive?
Our mission now is to support and develop the next generation of Louisiana artists, chefs, and musicians. So, sitting there at this old folks home, this great lady, Julie, the events planner, she said, "Why are you doing this?" She goes, "Oftentimes people like yourself, they want to go out and do some good, but they've also experienced something in their life that makes them want to do this work too, to help themselves and heal themselves." And it just hit me like a
So this is the way to heal yourself.
Yeah.
From that incident in particular.
Exactly. So
how many chefs, musicians, artists do you have involved right now?
So we've partnered up with Chow Yum.
Okay.
We hope to put together some cooking classes and stuff like that for kids.
Shout out to Chow Yum.
Shout out to Chow Yum and Jordan. I love that stuff. Partnered with the Baton Rouge Music Studios. One of our big goals is to try to get these kid bands on the big stage.
Okay.
Of course, had a kid band open up for Federales last year. We've had a sing the national anthem before all the Live After Fives.
Great.
Kid performance at Set Break. For us, if we can get these touring musicians to spend 5 or 10 minutes with these kids and say, "Hey, this is what it takes to be a working musician," and maybe that's a spark that leads these kids on.
That's great, man.
Yeah. So
how many nursing homes and other facilities are you regularly going to?
That once I kind of got that get up and go, kind of stepped away from the old folks homes. I'd love to revisit that, honestly.
Yeah.
And kind of got more youth focused, as I mentioned. So,
do y'all have a particular spot that you go to, or just in other words, how could listeners get involved and Be Positive?
Check out, we got a webpage, bepositive.brla.com.
Okay.
Or .org maybe, shoot. Check us out. Socials, we're somewhat active. I need to get better there.
Right.
But really, come out to Live After Five, support these kids, come out to Federales. We got a great kid band called Scenic Highway, three triplet brothers and their buddy.
What a great name.
I know, it's perfect
name.
for Federales. So just come out and support the kids. Like I said, I think for us to get them on the big stage, build confidence, and get them thinking like, "Oh, this is fun," because
awesome.
we want it to be fun. And Doug Gay, shout out to Doug in Baton Rouge Music Studios. He's been teaching and supporting kids and putting together these great kid bands for the past 15, 20 years. And it's just,
and they're all local Baton Rouge kids.
All local kids. And
well, that's what this podcast is about giving back, recognizing the people that are doing the good things. There's so many great nonprofits that we have here. And there's probably a lot of people listening that don't know about Be Positive. So we definitely want them to get involved. Maybe they have a child that's interested
100%.
in learning more or anything like that. So speaking of Baton Rouge and what you're doing for our community, let's talk about Live After Five. I've been to Live After Five several times, and it's always a fun time. I know you have really been working hard to build the brand. You're working with the mayor's office. He's engaged 100%, wants this to happen. Tell me about how you got involved with Live After Five, where it was, where it is, and where you see it going.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Live After Five is just a staple around Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge's longest standing free concert series, 20 plus years. They've been doing their thing. So, I was fortunate enough, just looking at kind of my music career, when one door closes, I've been fortunate enough for another to open. So, backing up, Beauvoir Park shut down. I jumped over to Electric Depot, started rolling some shows through there. That kind of came to a head. I got picked up as the production manager for Live After Five in 2024. This past year, I stepped into the managing director role. Great board, great mission. We are now a 501c3 nonprofit as well. Got that determination last year. As you mentioned, Coach Mayor Sid Edwards committed to community events, crossing these multicultural barriers and bringing the people together, which, as you can attest to, Live After Five is all about. You go out there, you see all walks of life and people smiling, knocking off of work on a Friday afternoon and coming downtown to enjoy some good music. Initially, honestly, I had big plans to really shake it up and kind of change the vibe, but just out of a pure respect for what I witnessed being a part of it, it's great for what it is. You know, I do want to bring through some bigger touring acts. Of course, continuing to highlight the locals as openers, even the kids, you know. But you know, one of our goals is to touch on all the different genres that's unique to Louisiana. Zydeco, the blues, which is super strong down here in Baton Rouge, of course. The funk, which I love to bring up from New Orleans. Yep. You know, you got your party and wedding band, that are really what Live After Five is kind of all about. Yep. So if we can kind of touch on all the different genres, keep the people happy and supporting, then that's what it's all about.
Well, and you and I have talked about this. It's like you want to keep people happy, and you know those wedding bands are going to perform, right? And they're going to hit all the hits. But also, you know, it's kind of a metaphor for Baton Rouge. We need to push the envelope a little bit, slowly but surely. And I think you can do it musically. Yeah. Like open people's eyes to kind of what else is out there. Just from a music standpoint at Live After Five. Sure, you can have the wedding band one Friday, but the next Friday, you might, I know you're going to want to...
get the New Orleans Suspects up there.
Like push the envelope a bit and see what else you can open people's eyes to. Let's talk about the multicultural stuff, because that's obviously very important to both of us. I mean, you go out there, it's a celebration of people, and it's really cool. And I hope that, you know, I know you'll be able to continue to grow it. And like, you know, do you have any beautiful moments you can share with us about, you know, that Friday afternoon where it just, everything was hitting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, it's incredible. The series itself, you know, so much planning and coordination goes into it, but you get to the day of show, and from the production team to all the food vendors, it kind of runs itself to some degree, you know, but, you know, really, we were fortunate enough for Coach Mayor Sid Edwards to approach us after our last Live After Five, and we took this goofy little video, funny video, first take only. He's just a complete natural, but you know, him and his coaching terms, he said, "Jay, like let's run one more back. Let's run an overtime." I said, awesome. All right, Coach, you know, let's do it. So we ended up pushing our 6-show series to 7. Of course. Right. Spring was just, you can imagine, the weather woes, which we had to deal with. So, but it's just, you know, kind of a special moment to see this incoming mayor, like I said, commit to supporting these events and seeing more of them. You know, it's been great. They've kind of their go-to now for music and events. So I'm hoping, just talking about multiculturalism and breaking down these barriers, you know, you look at genres that speak to all walks of life. Yep. Zydeco, of course. Yep. Blues, funk, reggae, you know. I hope at some point in time in the near future we can start putting together some bigger festival type events downtown, free to the public.
When does the actual season of Live After Five start?
We will kick up middle of September.
Okay, so soon.
What's that? Yes, very soon. Yeah. So to wrap off our 6 fall dates, September 12th, September 19th, September 26th. We'll take off October 4th weekend for Federales Fest, and then we'll roll back October 10th, October 17th, October 24th is our big finale. So lineup announcement coming soon. We'll start ramping things up.
That's great.
And
you got any things hidden up your sleeve?
Couple little things. So
you know, I have a question for you. We when I was, I don't know, several years ago, we would go to Live After Five on a Friday, then Sunday in the Park on Sunday. Any talks about Sunday in the Park coming back? You
know, close buddy Jonathan Grimes is now the CEO, president of the Arts Council. I hope to see those come back.
I do too. Sunday's a great day.
Yeah, I agree. But you know, not to mention some looming budget cuts and crisis that that the administration is dealing with now. So, you know, depending on what shakes out, I've got some plans to get some additional community buy-in through sponsors and stuff like that. So,
before we get to Federales Festival, because that's what I'm really excited about talking about, let's talk about your production company with our good friend John and what y'all have going on and that entertainment company, not production company.
Promotions
company.
Yeah.
Because that's really cool what y'all have been doing. Our good friend John Kaufman. Tell us about that.
Yeah, shout out to John. John is absolutely kicking ass. Company's called Greystone Promotion, national promotions company. We're working with national touring acts, written rooms, written venues, and getting artists out on the road. I mean, ideal for us is a 5 to 10 to 12 show run.
Okay.
Working with the likes of Randy Travis, Marshall Tucker Band, Jefferson Starship now, Crystal Gale, and John.
Lyle Lovett, did I?
Lyle Lovett as well. A couple Louisiana shows.
Yep. I can't wait for that.
Right after Federales.
My dad and I share our mutual love for Lyle Lovett.
Love it.
So I'm going to bring my dad to the New Orleans show.
Awesome. Yeah, Texas legend. But yeah, John is our senior talent buyer. I'm kind of more in a marketing and support role, just helping us get the word out there and talking with media companies, helping out with social media and stuff like that I've got some strengths in. And very small team based out of New Hampshire. But think a very minuscule startup kind of Live Nation. Yeah. That's the goal, awesome. Is to continue to get these people on the road. I mean, you look at Randy Travis.
I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah.
The idea behind, and share with the listeners, the Randy Travis thing is super cool with everything he has going on. Please share with us how that got started and what that's like.
Yeah, our founder's Dave Smith out of New Hampshire, as I mentioned. Randy had a life-changing stroke back in 2013. Can no longer seeing himself. I think at one point in time, the doctors were telling his wife, Mary, that she needed to maybe consider pulling the plug, and she refused. Sat there by his side through prayer and thought and strength. And, of course, when Randy had a stroke, his band quickly found themselves out of work.
Sure.
I want to credit our founder, Dave, with the idea. He talked to Randy and Mary and said, hey, why don't we get y'all on stage, get the original band back together. They've actually hired a great vocalist in James Dupre out of Lafayette area.
Really?
Who's singing, who's...
So he's singing all of Randy Travis songs?
All Randy's hits.
No way.
Original band up there. Randy and Mary are on stage, and...
it's similar to this setup, right?
Yeah.
They're just up on stage watching.
He's interacting. Randy's, sings the little he can, but it's a very kind of video focused show, very kind of heartfelt, and people love it. John
was telling me it sells out quick.
It's crazy
everywhere.
Yeah. So we've got him routing up through Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, coming back to Texas. Talks of maybe a Canada run in 2026. So, I'm just kind of here along for the ride myself. It's pretty cool.
That's fascinating,
it's a
man.
Whole different world than what I'm used to here locally. But John, just with all the great work he did at the Manship, he knows the people, he knows how to work them, and it's really quite impressive.
We can talk about John for a second. That's the great thing about John is there's nobody who knows more music than John does, and he's the opposite of a music snob, right? Exactly. Which is in your industry, that's really important. You got to get the butts in the seats. Yeah. You got to take out what you think's cool, because probably what you and I think cool is not for the masses.
Yeah.
And so you have to put on a different hat, I would imagine. I mean,
and he does. I'm my own bias and personal preference kind of gets in my way sometimes because I book what I want to hear, But he's very business minded, and it's really been impressive and a great learning opportunity for me to see him do his thing and just kind of help where I can.
Shout out John Kaufman. We love you, buddy.
We do, buddy.
All right, finally, let's get to Federales Festival, which is what I am so excited about. This will be my, third year. It's y'all's third year, right?
Repeat offenders, that's what we call them.
Can you tell us who you got on the bill? What's it going to look like? Anything different, new, exciting coming up?
100%. Look, Federales Fest, first shout out to Williamson Eye Center and Lamar Advertising, our two presenting sponsors.
Absolutely.
Dr. Blake, shout out to you,
Love
buddy.
you, Dr. Blake.
Yeah, love you, bud. Couldn't do it without him, honestly, But year 3, bigger and better. Paul Cawthon, got him as a headlining act, which
that's great.
Super exciting. Kind of funking it up a little bit, bringing George Porter Jr. and running partners up from New Orleans. George just underwent a major back surgery at the beginning of the summer. You know, he's pushing 75, 76 years old. I will continue to support George for as long as I can. As long as he wants to do it, I've got a stage for him. So, Sam Morrow, up and coming, funky rocker, country swagger kind of guy.
Where is he from?
Sam was born in Texas. I want to say he's based out of Nashville now, but he's been opening up for Tab Benoit, really doing some cool stuff. Had a show at Beauval Park this past spring, I want to say, with Sam. Just incredible. Then we're kind of getting into the regional and local acts. Zach Edwards and the Medicine out of Lafayette.
Okay.
These guys are on a tear. They're going to be quite impressive, as always. Bringing back the Captain Legendary band, who you might remember.
Baton Rouge.
From Baton Rouge, yeah. So getting the band back together.
That's great.
And, hoping to pull on some of the old Chelsea's crowd.
I was about to say, I think I saw them at Chelsea's many, many years ago.
No doubt. Dominic Michael, up and coming, just country gold star, in my opinion. He's 25 years old, but he sounds like the country days old. Knock your socks off. And then Scenic Highway, kid band from Baton Rouge Music Studios, kicking things off.
I love it.
And we've got, a little second stage in a gooseneck trailer, kind of still working through some of those details, but, try to highlight local acts with the goal of them getting to the main stage in the next couple of years. So.
Well, for those of y'all that have not been to Federalis Festival, tell us about it. I mean, I can go on for days, but it's such a unique thing.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us what makes Federalis so great. How many people show up, the food, the vendors, the merch. You got your hat on. I mean, the merch is great. Everything about it, the Instagram, it's really, really cool. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, it starts with the sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. These festivals tend to have like a 3 to 5 year life cycle to determine whether it'll be sustainable or not. We've got such great community buy-in through our sponsors that we're very fortunate. 2, got the best venue in town. The perfect setting, Phil Witter's spot off Jefferson Highway, Live Oak at Cedar Lodge, kind of trying to brand the Live Oak Arena as our venue. But just a phenomenal place. I call it Baton Rouge's Yellowstone. Just this beautiful plot of land, Arabian horses running about. The venue is gracious enough to do stable tours for the kids and the families. Family-friendly event, of course. Just a great community event.
Yeah, it is.
Great music, great food, as you mentioned. Trying to fold in a little. They call it the Children's Entrepreneurial Market. This year, get some kid makers out there selling wares and art and stuff like that. So,
well, it's very family friendly. I brought my kids every time I've been, and I send them home when it gets a little late. But we waited a long time last year. That was
that was interesting. We're trying to work on that messaging this year. Yes, family friendly throughout the afternoon, but as the lights go down and our bigger acts are hitting the stage, we encourage families to, have the grandparents come pick them up or go drop them off to babysitters and have a good time.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, Jay, it has been a pleasure, man. Thank you for all that you do. I hope people realize, this is, it's fun, but it's a lot of hard work, and it's really important for, the music scene in Baton Rouge is once again hidden, and it's wonderful. And hopefully you'll be able to continue to bring it up and to where, whatever genre we're talking about. A lot of people think of Baton Rouge as the blues, but whatever it is and whatever it turns into being, we hope that you continue to do it because you're good at it, man, and we need you.
I ain't stopping, brother. I tell you that much. I just encourage folks to go out and find it, go support these local musicians. I've been fortunate through all this work to kind of, have some bands reach out and look for representation. I'm now working on like a regional track of venues that are wanting to work with me from St. Francisville to Monroe to Madison, Mississippi and beyond, just to help these artists kind of spread their wings. If there's a great act coming down from Nashville, hey, I got 4 or 5 stops for you. Come down to Baton Rouge. So, I think we need more of it, as crazy as that sounds. I think people in this town need more opportunities to go out and support music, and you're missing out if you're not looking for it. So,
once again, Be Positive, y'all. Go check out Be Positive. Make a donation. We got to keep that thing going. Look for Live After 5 I know you got some great stuff coming up in September. Look for the dates. Bring your family and friends out there on a Friday night and be in our beautiful downtown. Enjoy the weather as it gets cooler. Dance the night away. And then Federalis Festival, which obviously is very exciting. Again, shout out to Dr. Blake Williamson and Williamson Eye Center and Lamar for doing that. All right, we close this down every episode with Billings, Montana, Texas, now Baton Rouge. What does it feel like to be a true Baton Rougean? I
love it. It's a funny question you asked that, because in my college heyday, I told myself I'd never move back here.
Look at you.
Called a Hell's Kitchen at the time, but I love it, man. I'm so committed to what I do, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in the musicians and the music, and at this point in time, I got so many irons in the fire. It's going to be hard to
leave.
You can't leave.
They're going to be chasing you after you leave, and then disappear. You'll be in trouble. All right, finally, last question: who would you like to pass the baton to?
Gosh, while we're on the subject, Dr. Blake Williamson.
Can't think of a better example.
Huge music supporter himself, huge supporter of the arts. He's got great insight, great ideas, and I'd love to see you kind of get into the mind of the doctor.
Maybe a couple hours. So Dr. Blake, the Zulu Doc, we're coming for you, baby.
I love it.
Jay, thank
you, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Like crawfish,
tune in next time. Alligator Shoes. Thank y'all.
Girls that treat you nice.